Hey, so I posted a video last week called "A Line Has Been Crossed." And this video was about how I'm subscribed to Entertainment Weekly and the United States Postal Service routinely damages or destroys my magazines, and how I felt a line had been crossed because my latest delivery was just a cover. And I noticed that when it was on my YouTube channel, there was some strange things about it. Number one, it was getting more views than I expected. Not a lot of views, like 200 something, but that's more views than I have subscribers. Also, it had more downvotes than it had upvotes, so it was being viewed primarily by people who didn't like it. And I also noticed it had a handful of comments, at least 2 of which were from mail carriers. So these were all strange details. So I looked at the YouTube analytics, which is, you go on YouTube and it shows you all the data for everything you want to know about the video, and it shows you where the traffic is coming from to view the video. And most of the views were coming from an external source, primarily Reddit. And I ain't post no video on no Reddit. So I did a search and I discovered that a user named ATG77 had shared this video in the USPS subreddit. Suddenly all those weird details added up. Most of the people who were looking at this video were these pissed off mail carriers in the USPS subreddit. And you know, one of the reasons I posted this video was to get a conversation going about this situation. So in that spirit, I want to keep that conversation going. So I'm going to read off some of these comments from that Reddit thread, and I'm going to address them, sort of like a Q&A, and I'll try to address all the things that were brought up in this thread. Toledo Said writes, LOL, 1, get a bigger mailbox, 2, check your mail every day. All right, well, let me address both of your points. 1, I live in an apartment building, so I can't just get a bigger mailbox. Everyone has the same type of mailbox. And 2, check your mail every day. Yes, I do that. No Coffee No Think writes, serious answer, buy your magazines at the store or only subscribe to magazines sent in protective wrap. If you're seriously trying to keep them mint and you get them sent loose leaf by mail, you might have brain damage. I'm certainly not trying to keep them mint. I'm just trying to keep them from being destroyed on their way to me. Also, if this isn't satire, then his thin red line is adorable. What an easy life he must have had so far. A true American princess. Sorry about the magazines, Cupcake. Now remember, you said serious answer at the top of your comment, so is that you being serious, or is that you trying to feel big on the internet? Mail Escort, and that's M-A-I-L, says, he demands the carrier buy him a new one and then explains all the nearby stores that carry the magazine. LOL. How about you bribe your mail carrier instead, like with cold bottles of water or something, and ask them to take special care of his copies of EW in return. I know that's against the rules, but it's better than being a whiny little bitch. Okay, just address these points. Number 1, I'm not suggesting that the carrier buy me a new issue. I'm suggesting that the United States Postal Service buy me a new issue. 2, I'm not going to buy another issue. I already bought this one. 3, I don't particularly think that a person should have to be bribed in order to do their job well. I feel like they should already be doing that. And 4, I just want to make sure I have this clear. breaking the rules is better than being a whiny little bitch. Do you see those as the only two options? Canada legalized it too, writes, I got a minute into it. Way too drawn out. Simple problem though. If legit, I'm guessing the house is at the end of a loop, or it is part of a loop that gets very few flats. I don't know what to say other than leave a note for carrier requesting more care, or quit being bothered by something so minimal. Minimal? It's a cover. Oh, but you only watched 1 minute, so you didn't even see that part. WD Diver says, at my station, we have FSS, pre-sorted flats. The machines routinely trash magazines and catalogs. The machines routinely trash magazines? Is the USPS trying to address that, or have they just accepted it as an inevitability? And if so, are they going to tell anyone? Sometimes every issue of a particular magazine will be the chosen one. Each one will have a shredded cover, be folded, etc. Every issue? Does he have a tiny mailbox or CBU? No, it's a regular box. Does he check his mail every day? Yes. We often have to fold flats to fit them into small boxes. And if he leaves his mail for days at a time, the carrier will have to fold stuff to fit it into the box. Okay, well that's not typically the case. Usually my mailbox is empty. Like, okay, you know how when you go to the supermarket and you buy, let's say, a loaf of bread and a watermelon, and the bag boy puts the loaf of bread in first and then tosses the watermelon on top of that and just flattens the bread. No, that never happens because the supermarket bag boy is using his brain. And dude, if you want a crisp issue, go to the store for F's sake. If this is the only worry you have in your life and you have the time to make a YouTube video 7+ minutes long about it, count your effing blessings. Well, no, this is not the only worry I have in my life. It's just the only one in which the United States Postal Service is at fault. King Mick Easy 25 says, wait till he gets his bent diploma. This video can't be serious. To be fair though, I have seen covers of magazines come through and we deliver it. What are we supposed to do? You can't throw it away, it's against the law, and the customer will complain he never got it. You deliver it and the customer's mad. No win. Yeah, I can see how it's a difficult situation to figure out. Here's what you do. Contact Entertainment Weekly and anyone else who sends magazines loose and tell them that the U.S. Postal Service will no longer be shipping loose magazines because they can't be bothered to ensure that they arrive in one piece. And then, if you ever do see a loose cover, instead of delivering it, send it back to the sender and let them know that they need to send a fresh new issue on your dime because you destroyed it. Mail Escort, again, says, he's completely serious, in my honest opinion. Speaking of diplomas, one of my coworkers got screamed at, demanding they give them $20 to get a new copy of her daughter's diploma. She just laughed and drove off. Okay, so your colleague delivered a special certificate, a diploma, and it was damaged, and the recipient wanted recompense for this special certificate that had been damaged by the USPS, and your colleague laughed and drove off. Good one. Grand Traverse Garden says, OMG, couldn't watch the whole thing. Sometimes magazines come in big bundles wrapped in heavy plastic ties. These ties often damage the top and bottom magazines terribly. This issue would not be your carrier's fault. Right. Well, my video is directed at the entire United States Postal Service, not just my mail carrier. Although I'm not in love with the way my mail carrier loads my mailbox sometimes. If folding is your main problem, leave a nice note in your box asking the carrier to please not fold your magazine so much. Depending on their level of caring and ability to mentally handle such a complex request, this may solve your issue. Oh, okay, so what you're saying is the mail carrier thinks it's okay to damage my mail unless I leave them a friendly note? Finally, contact Entertainment Weekly, tell them what's been happening, ask them to send your issue in a manila envelope. They may not comply, but it should reduce damage. Yeah, I said that in the video you couldn't finish. Or just cancel your subscription and go outside. I am outside. Now what? Sieber Husky says, when I get Game Informer in the mail and it comes on a day that it's raining, I have a 99% chance my magazine and the rest of the mail will be soggy like a wet sock. I just break out the trusty iron and put a towel over the mail and dry it out and go on with life. I don't sit and bitch and moan about it on YouTube like a man-child. I think I was very calm and reasonable in my video. The only people I called out were incompetent mail carriers. And that made you feel personally attacked. People always have to get so extra about such stupid little things. Society is so effed up with this self-entitlement S. Forget the person pulling long hours in the summer heat to deliver mail and bills about loans you've defaulted on. How do you know I've defaulted on loans? All that matters is your tabloid magazine and if it arrives in pristine condition. First of all, Entertainment Weekly is not really a tabloid magazine. Like, it's not celebrity gossip. It's mainly pop culture, news, reviews, and interviews with some retrospective articles about random classic entertainments. There is this one snarky thing they do called the bullseye, where at the end of every issue they have a bullseye graphic, and they take all the things that happen in the week and they celebrate the things that they think are cool, and then they mock the things that they perceive to be fails. And I think that's vile, and I hate it. But you know, it's just that one page. The proper thing to do would be call the magazine company you're subscribed to, say, hey, one of my magazines got damaged in the mail, could you send me a replacement? And they would. Simple solution that people are too stupid to understand today. Okay, well, if you guys are telling me that the United States Postal Service regularly destroys loose magazines, and then you're saying that the solution is to call the magazine company and have them send another loose magazine through the United States Postal Service, well, now who's being stupid? Trablo Blablo says, this is either autism or satire. That's the whole post. Well, I don't think I'm autistic. I mean, I've never been tested for it. I suppose it's possible I could have a touch of something. I guess I try to choose my words carefully, so I do talk slow, but I don't know if that's an autistic thing. Maybe I have a little social anxiety. Is that autism? Sometimes I get really focused on something, and other times I can't focus on stuff. Is that autism? So I don't know about the autism diagnosis, but you know, I clicked on Trablo Blablo's name and I saw some of his past posts, and I see that, you know, he's got some stuff that he is upset about. He works as a city carrier assistant for the USPS, and the city carrier that he works for is very lazy, and that annoys him. He also wants to transfer to Georgia. He can't get it, so that's frustrating to him as well. Also found out other people are doing the same job for more pay. I could definitely see how that would be frustrating. So I certainly hope Trablo Blablo can work out the issues that are frustrating him, you know, instead of taking out his frustrations on other people on the internet. S. Salulk says, neither, just a raging case of millennialism. Well, first of all, I I'm not a millennial, at least not full millennial. I was born sort of right in that transitionary period between Gen X and millennials. So I'm technically Gen X, but with some millennial mixed. I'm like bi-generational. Also, when you say raging case of millennialism, what does that mean to you? Because I feel like millennials have had to be really flexible and adaptable thanks to the catastrophic economy and dying planet they inherited. So if what you're talking about is a generation that's really entitled and precious about how they want things, I think what you're thinking of is baby boomers. Should we bother telling him that magazines come to us in bundles and the top and bottom one on the bundles is always messed up when we get it? Maybe we could lead that into suggesting he move so he will no longer be getting the top or bottom magazine, preferably to Canada. Sure, you could suggest that. Canada's great. Do they have mail carriers who don't need to be bribed to do their fucking job? P.S. I thought only 60-year-old women read Entertainment Weekly. That's really specific. Pamela RCA writes, I didn't watch the whole thing. Does he live in an apartment building where the boxes are as wide or big as a standard Post-it note? No, they're normal boxes. WD Diver says, I don't think anyone here watched the whole thing. What an entitled dweeb. Okay, so I want the magazine that I purchased delivered to me in good condition, and I'm entitled. And you want to be bribed to do your job correctly, and you're not entitled. Okay. Also, you said you don't think anyone watched it all the way through, but, you know, as I said, YouTube does show analytics, and one of the things they show you is audience retention by the minute. And while the chart for this video does go like this, it does show that some people did watch the whole thing. And, you know, didn't have to come to Reddit to ask follow-up questions. And then Jethro Paladin quoted the part that said entitled dweeb, and he crossed out the D, so it said entitled weeb. And I didn't know what a weeb was, so I looked it up on Urban Dictionary, and it says, a weeb is a non-Japanese male who watches and is a fan of cute girls doing cute things anime and has a waifu pillow and is obsessed with Japan. A weeb is always talking about how cute or kawaii his favorite characters are and claiming one of them to be his waifu. Weebs call non-weebs normies. Weebs are harmless. They know they're disliked by many people, but they don't give a F because they know they're sugoi awesome. In Twitch, weebs will make heavy use of emotes such as Vohi Yo, Concha, Tihi Pello, Pun Oko, and any other weeb emote offered by a subscription to the channel they're watching. What? What part of my video suggests any of this? What the hell's Twitch? No, I know what Twitch is. That's where the people go and you watch someone play a video game. I've never done it. I'm barely entertained by myself playing a video game. Jack Splat 12 says, I watched all on 2x, definitely entitled dweeb. 2x means double speed, so he watched it on double speed. And I wouldn't recommend that, because, you know, it screws up the timing. Sieber Husky says, he reminds me of Kid Behind a Camera. I had to look this one up too. Kid Behind a Camera. Apparently, it's a gentleman from South Carolina who does YouTubes and has 2 million subscribers. I wish. JackSplat12 says, most rural carriers cup flats into their case, resulting in crease down the middle. Okay, I'm not in a rural. The fact you received front page only, your carrier should have gotten it stamped received without contents or received in damaged condition or something of that sort before delivering it. Okay, you know, that wouldn't really solve my problem though, right? then I would just have a cover, but with a stamp on it. Do you see how that doesn't help? The FSS machine did the damage, not the carrier. It doesn't matter. I don't care if it's the machine or the mail carrier. What I said in my video is that the United States Postal Service is responsible because the item was in their custody. Their job is to deliver it from point A to point B, not take it from point A, mangle it, and then deliver the remnants to point B. And I think a lot of people in this subreddit thread are just offended because it sounds like I'm suggesting that mail carriers are ignorant and incompetent. And like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm sure some of them aren't. Oh, and this, lighten up, Francis. And there's a link to a clip from Ivan Reitman's 1981 comedy Stripes. That's a movie where these slobs decide to join the army on a lark, and they're goofing off the whole time. They're really undisciplined, and they don't take anything seriously. And they end up just having a good time and graduating, and then going into a war zone and becoming war heroes and winning medals. And the whole movie is just taking a big dump on the army. And it's a great movie. Bill Murray, like prime Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, John Candy, John Larroquette, I think Sean Young. I mean, if there's one common ground we've found here so far, it's that we both like Stripes. We like this movie that dumps on the U.S. Army. And I feel like maybe I'll post more videos talking about movies. I like movies. I like to talk about movies. I don't like lecturing mail carriers on the internet. Barry Crack says, if this is supposed to be funny or satirical, it fails on every level. If it is real, well, I don't know. You don't know what? Nuncle Drew says, either your carrier or receptacle sucks. Compromise life? Get real, dude. No, I am real. This is real. You get real. Ryan Stripes says, this is some stage 5 autism right here. And that comment was actually downvoted, so thanks. And that's most of the comments in this Reddit thread. Maybe I'll throw a link in the description. And I hope that I was able to elucidate some of the points that were tripping some of these people up. I hope we found a common ground. I hope that this conversation can continue in a positive way moving forward, and maybe I will have made some friends at the end of it, possibly even for life. So thank you for just putting your thoughts out there. United States Postal Service, I think the ball's in your court. You've heard what I have to say. You've heard what your employees have to say. Let's make a solution here. Let's start getting those magazines in plastic sleeves. Tell the magazine companies you can't do it. You can't do it. The machines are slicing them up into confetti. People want to read this. Look, it's been a week. I still don't know what the deal is with Mary Poppins Returns. Let's stop this. Let's move forward. Let's be friends. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs down. Give that subscribe button the old tippity tap. And if you have something to say, make a comment. Or, you know, go scurrying back to your little subreddit and make your little jokes.